Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today in this tutorial I am going to show you how we can implement Firebase Authentication in our React Native app. So as you can see over here, this is our app and this is the onboarding screen of our app. The user will see this screen only once when the user will first install the app to their device. And after that the user will be presented with this login screen or this sign up screen. I have created all this UI in my previous tutorials, so if you haven't seen all those tutorials yet, then you can check those tutorials. In this tutorial I am going to implement the Firebase Authentication. So if you are interested in this kind of tutorial, then hit the like button, subscribe to my channel for more tutorials like this, and don't forget to hit the notification bell icon so that you get notified whenever I post a new tutorial on this channel. So without wasting any more time, let's get started with the tutorial. So this is our project, and since my previous tutorial I have just added two files. Here I have added this abstract file and here we have this home screen. So within this screens directory I have added this home screen, and this will be presented after user logged in to our app. So there is nothing fancy, it is just a screen with this text and this form button, nothing else. So now we need to install React Native Firebase in our app, and for that we need to go to their official website, and here we can see the documentation. So we need to install it, and to install it first we need to use this command. I'm using npm, so I will use this. If you are using yarn, then you can use this one. Now paste this command and hit enter. So it has been installed. Now we are going to use the authentication, and for that we need to go to this authentication menu, and then we need to install this auth package. And to use this auth package we need to use the Firebase which we have just installed. So that is the core library which we need to install, and after installing the core library we can install whatever we want to use from Firebase. So as we are going to use authentication, so now we need to install it. So it will be npm install React Native Firebase auth. So our packages has been installed. Now let's see what we need to do. So I'm going back. We have installed the core library. Now we need to set up few things for both the platforms. So here we can see the Android setup. Right now I am skipping this. I'm going to the iOS setup, and to set up it first we need to go to this Firebase, and within Firebase we need to go to our console, and here we need to create a project. So click on this add to project and provide a project name over here. I'm not going to use Google Analytics, so I have disabled it. Now click on this create project. So our project is ready. Now click on continue. Here is our project dashboard, and we need to go to this authentication menu, and here within this sign in method we are going to use this email and password, so we can enable it and save it. So this sign in method has been enabled, and then we need to go to this project setting, and here within your app section we can see that there are no apps in your project. So we need to create app for our project, and first we are going to create our iOS project. So we need to click on this iOS button, and here we need to provide some information. First we need to provide the iOS bundle ID, and it will be like this. So this is my bundle ID, and we can provide any nickname, and this is optional. And here we can provide the App Store ID, but currently I'm not uploading it to App Store, so I'm not providing it. Now click on this register app. Now we are presented with this config file. We need to download it. So I have downloaded it. Now we need to configure it. Now we are completed with the step for iOS app. We don't need to do these things. Okay, so we can just simply ignore these things, and we can click on this continue to console. So right now we can see that this iOS app is present in our project. Now let's go to this React Native Firebase, and here we can see we need to download it. As we have downloaded, then we need to open the project in Xcode. So let me open it. So here we have opened our project to Xcode. Now we need to right click on this project name, and then we have this add files to option. Click on it, Here we are going to add this config file which we have downloaded. Now click on this add. So it has been added. Now let's see what else we need to do. Now we need to provide few things in our appdelegate.m file. So copy this code, and this is our appdelegate.m file, and here I have pasted it. Now we need to add these 3 lines within this bool application section. So I have added it. Now save the file, and then we don't need to do anything. We can close it, and then we can close this Metro Bundler UI process, and we need to do pod install. Now go back to our root directory and rebuild our project. So the Firebase package has been installed properly. We are not seeing any error for iOS. So now we can move to Android. So here, similar to iOS, we need to first go to this Firebase console and we need to add app, and this time it will be for Android. And similar to iOS, we need to provide the package name here, and we can provide a nickname for our app, and then we don't need to provide this thing as we are not uploading it to Play Store. So click on register app. Then we have this config file. We need to download it, and after downloading we don't need to follow any other step here. Now go to React Native Firebase documentation. Here we can see that we need to place that config file within our Android app directory. So within this Android directory we have this app directory, and over here we need to place this config file. Now after that we need to add few things. We need to add this line to our build.gradle file, which is located within this Android directory. So within Android we have this build.gradle, and then within these dependencies we need to add it. So I have added it. Now we need to add this line to the build.gradle file, which is located within this app directory. So after Android we have this app directory, and within it we have this build.gradle file, and here we can add that line. Now save it. After saving it, let's see what else we need to do. We don't need to do anything. And for Android we don't need to do any other step as we have done for iOS. So we can just start building our app. Now we need to open our project in Android Studio. So here we have opened the project in Android Studio, and currently the Gradle build process is happening, and it will build the project as we have added few things in our build.gradle file. So it has been finished. Now we can start our emulator and run our project. After installing this package, you need to open the project within the Android Studio, and Android Studio will do the necessary thing which is required to run the package in our app properly. So here is our Android emulator. Now close this Metro Bundler UI process and build our project for Android. So our app is running on Android, and the Firebase package has been installed properly for Android as well. Now we can start implementing Firebase authentication functionality in our app. So to implement the Firebase authentication, here in navigation directory we will create authentication provider. I have created this authprovider.js file. And after importing React, we need to import auth from React Native Firebase authentication package. To use the provider, we need to use the context API. Here we will create a context. So we will use this create context API from React. So make sure you import it from React, and my IDE already imported it automatically, and I'm going to export it so that I can access it from other files. Now I'm going to create the provider and we will export it. And here within this auth context provider, we will provide children prop, and that children we will receive as prop. So we need to mention that here. Now for this provider value, we will create different state for the authentication, such as login, register and logout. Also, along with this authentication state, I'm going to use some other value which will be the user state, and I will use this use state hook, and by default the user will be set to null. So here within this provider value I have added this user state and this set user also, so that we can set this user from any other file. Now here we have this login state, and this function will be an asynchronous function, so we need to use async. And for login we are going to accept email and password. Now within this try block I'm going to use the authentication, and here we have this sign in with email and password function available, and within this function we can pass these email and password fields. And as this is the async function, so we need to add a wait over here. Now for the error we will catch it, and for any kind of error we can output it to our console. So this is our login function. Now we need to create the register and logout function. So register function will be similar to this login function. It will be the asynchronous function, and we are going to accept email and password as well. Now within this try block, first we need to provide this await. Then for auth we have create user with email and password, and similarly we need to provide this email and password in this function. Now we can do the similar thing with the error. We will output the error in the console. So the login and register has been created. Now we are left with the logout, and it is also pretty simple. It will be the async function, and for the try block we have this auth sign out. So simply we need to call this sign out function, and for the error we will do the similar thing. So we are completed with this provider. Now we need to use it, and we are going to first use it in our routes.js file. In this route we are displaying this auth stack, and remember I have created this app stack as well for our home screen. So after a successful login, the user will be provided with this home screen, and that is located within this app stack. So we will determine which stack we want to display in this route, and to determine that we need to listen to the authentication state. And here we can see the documentation listening to the authentication state, and for it we have this on auth state changed function. So we can use this code snippet over here in our route.js to determine the authentication state. So let me implement that. And also we need to import app stack, and now I'm going to import auth context from auth provider. And also here we can see that we need to import this auth from React Native Firebase auth package. So I will add that over here. And here we need to use this on auth state changed function, by which we will subscribe to the current authentication state of the user. So here from our auth context I'm going to fetch user and set user, and we need to use a state called initializing, and we will set it by this function, and by default this initializing will be set to true. Now while this component will be mounted, that time this function will run, and within this function we will subscribe to our current authentication state. And for that, here we can see the code. So we are subscribing to this on auth state changed function. So I can simply copy this code and paste it here. Now we need to create this on state change function locally to set the user. So here we will receive user value, and by using this we can set user. So it will update the user in our auth context, which is located here, and from this auth context provider this value will be passed to other components within the component tree. So we are setting the user over here. Now we need to change the initializing state. So it will be false, and we can provide a check over here. If initializing is set to true, then we will set it to false. Now here we can return If initializing is set to true, that time we can return null. So that means when our app is establishing a connection with Firebase, that time it will return null, because within that time our app is not determining which page it want to display, so it will not display any page over here. So you can do other thing as well. You can provide a loader over here instead of returning this null, but as this will be not visible for the user, it will take fraction of a second, so it will be not visible by the user. We can safely use this return null. Also, for your satisfaction, if you want to use a loader, then you can do that as well. Now after this, if this initializing is not set to true, then it will return this navigation container, and by the authentication state we are going to use this auth stack or app stack. So if the user is defined, then we will display app stack, otherwise we will display the auth stack. Now save this file. Now within this index.js, we are returning these routes. We need to wrap these routes with our provider. So it will be auth provider, and make sure you import it from authprovider.js file, and my IDE automatically imported it. So now we have some error. So here is the error. We need to provide this R in capital. Now the error has been gone. Now we need to make these buttons work. So first we need to implement the sign up, and then we are going to implement the login. So for sign up we have this register, and we can access it by context API. So now within this sign up screen, by using this use context hook from auth context, we are going to get this register function, and this register is this one which we have provided in our provider value. And make sure you import this auth context and this use context hook from React. Now we are going to use it in our sign up button. So here we can use this register function, and we need to pass the email and password, and we have this email and password state which we are updating while user is typing the text in these fields, right? So I can simply use those local state over here. Now I can save it. So right now I'm not doing the validation of this password and confirm password. If you want to see more about the validation, then I have a previous tutorial which you can find from the I icon, or you can get the link from the description below. So I'm not going to implement that validation over here. test@email.com, and password I will set to password. Now click on sign up. Now after clicking on sign up, we can see that we are already redirected to the home screen, right? Now let's see if the user is created in our Firebase console or not. So here is our project, and within this authentication we can see that the user has been created, right? So it's working successfully. Now we need to do the logout over here. Also we want to fetch the user details in our home screen, and we can do that by this user value from our provider. So within this home screen, by using use context, we can get that from our auth context, and from this user we are going to get user ID. So here we can see the user ID is present, right? So by this we get the details of the user. Now we need to provide some functionality in this logout function, and that is also we have created as this logout. So it will be logout. So for on press we need to provide this logout. Now after clicking on this logout, we are logged out from our application. Now we need to implement the sign in function, and we can do that similarly as we have done this register. So we need to get login from auth context, and then within this login function we need to provide the email and the password, and that is also we are getting from this local state, right? Now save it. Now let's check it once. I have provided the email. Now for the password, we have the password for the password. Click on sign in, and we are redirected to the home screen, right? Now click on this logout. Now check this for any random. Click on sign in. So it's not working. and if we see our console, then we can see a error over here, right? So here is the error, user not found. So from this error we can display the error to the user in our application, right? And then if we use the correct credentials, then we are logged in successfully. So that is it guys, this is the tutorial. I hope you have learned something new from this tutorial. If you do so, then hit the like button. Let me know by commenting down below. And in my next tutorial I will implement social authentication or maybe the UI for our social app. So don't forget to subscribe to my channel to see future videos of this tutorial series, and share this tutorial with your friends and colleagues. So I will see you guys in my next tutorial. In the meantime, have a great day. Goodbye.